Dark Souls Remastered has, after a lengthy delay, finally arrived on Nintendo Switch. While this is really a technical and graphical polishing of the original, the Switch's handheld mode adds an absorbing new dimension to what is, for me at least, a very familiar experience. But it also did something I wasn't expecting. It made the return to Lordran feel oddly new. If you don't know much about Dark Souls, here's what IGN said when it first came to consoles.
Dark Souls can be punishing, cruel, sadistic and uncompromising. It can also give you the purest, most thrilling adrenaline rush in gaming, and once you're hooked, it's amongst the deepest, most rewarding experiences that modern games can offer.
And all of that still holds true. Dark Souls remains one of the most demanding but rewarding action RPGs ever made, set across an intricately designed world that yields its secrets only to the most intrepid and curious. But one criticism that can be fairly levelled at the original is its shocking performance in certain areas. Blighttown, already a hostile environment for any player, was notoriously plagued by crippling frame rate issues that made navigating its gauntlet of dung pies and toxic darts even harder. Thankfully, those problems have been ironed out here. I reached the end of the game, regularly switching between docked and handheld mode, and never encountered anything that diminished my experience. The Switch version supports 1080p in TV mode, which is still an improvement on the original, and 720p in handheld mode. Both run at a steady 30 frames per second. While this is technically inferior to the 60 frames per second 4K experience available on PS4 Pro, Xbox One, and PC, it's still a refreshing upgrade from the original that it really didn't affect my enjoyment whatsoever. It also doesn't have all the texture improvements that you can find on those platforms, but it really only suffers in a direct side-by-side comparison, and wasn't something that detracted from my experience, especially in handheld mode. The exceptional Artorias of the Abyss expansion is included, but outside of that, there are no major changes to the core experience. There are, however, a handful of quality of life improvements that address some very small, dated issues with the original. You can now easily consume multiple items at once, making it much less laborious if you want to buy something with collected souls or deepen your allegiance to a covenant. Incidentally, it's also possible to switch covenants at any bonfire. You no longer have to make a long trip to visit its leader. A small change, but one that makes exploring Dark Souls' oblique multiplayer aspects a little bit easier. These are all minor amendments, changes made with 7 years worth of hindsight, that long-time players will feel more keenly than newcomers, but they're welcome nevertheless. But the option to play Dark Souls in handheld mode is by far the best thing about the Switch version. When it was first announced for the platform, the idea of confronting Ornstein and Smaug on public transport sounded farcical, but in practice, Dark Souls feels oddly suited to a portable device. I found myself using commutes to get to the next bonfire, do one more boss run, or grind souls to buy upgrade materials. If you're familiar with the structure of Dark Souls, it's easy to give yourself errands to do, which suit the pick up and put down nature of a portable console. I thought it would be a nice option, rather than my preferred way to play. Handheld mode ended up presenting me with a new spin on a familiar adventure. The surprisingly interconnected world of Lordran looks lovely on the Switch's smaller screen, despite its lower resolution. One slight grievance is that I had to frequently adjust the brightness setting when switching between the TV and handheld modes, and bizarrely there's no option on the Switch to downsize Dark Souls' jumbo-sized HUD, which is available on other versions of the remastered edition, but both are minor gripes against what is otherwise a fantastic port. Dark Souls Remastered is a technically better version of an already exceptional game. While the Switch version may lack some of the higher end features available on other platforms, it still presents a more pristine version of the original, and importantly, as the exciting and absorbing option to explore Lordran on a portable device. If you want to see how the Switch version handles Blighttown, watch this video, or if you want to see me guide this guy through Dark Souls, watch Prepare to Try.